Welcome back. Well, that was a crazy night of hockey, wasn't it? Followed as much as I can and as much as I could. We got 3 boards to go through, and yeah, 10 games done. Some interesting results out of tonight, including a team getting a win that hasn't had one since they wore these jerseys. But anyways, let's go ahead and start things off with the Washington Capitals in against the Philadelphia Flyers. So it was Samsonov versus Jones in this one. And Samsonov's been playing very well in recent weeks, so I really think that he's going to get the lion's share of games from here. Early power play for the Flyers, that's killed off. The Flyers press, Giroux is denied there. The shots are 4-3 for the Flyers halfway through the period. Zone time was favoring the Caps, not the shots. Shots were staying pretty even, solid defense until Kempny scores his first goal of the season from Dowden Hathaway at 18:35. So coming out of the first period, it's 1-0 Washington. Second period, early Konechny chance wouldn't go. Orlov has a rush chance that deflects out. The Flyers get a power play, and they score on it. It's Mayhew who's suddenly getting goals from Lindblom and Ratcliffe at 8:54. Ratcliffe's been playing pretty well. You got to find silver linings if you're a Flyers fan right now, right? Giroux has a rush chance that wouldn't go. The shots are 6-1 for the Flyers, 9.5 minutes into the second period. There's a power play for the Caps. It becomes a 5-on-3 for 45 seconds. Ovechkin hits the post. Snively, though, scores on the power play from Sherry and Orlov at 12:49. Lawton then can't bury one in close. Sanheim has a shot saved as the Flyers press, but just as we get into the last minute, and it's a McNugget minute, but they won't acknowledge that because it's not a Washington goal. So you get host until the third period. Sanheim scores from Konechny and Giroux at 19:01. That ties the game up at 2. We go to the third period. Atkinson with a rush chance, that's defended. The Flyers press at 4.5 minutes. Power play for the Flyers. It becomes a 5-on-3 for 1 minute and 39 seconds, and it felt like this was a really key point in the game. Caps did kill it off. Some good shot blocking going on there. There's a power play then for the Capitals. That's killed off. The Capitals press with 6.5 minutes left. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4, and then Mayhew gets his second goal of the game from Sanheim and Provorov at 16:09. The Caps then try to answer. Ovechkin's denied in the slot, but Hathaway is not denied. He scores at 17:03 from Carlson and Hagelin. So that ties the game up. Backstrom then has a chance that's saved, and Hathaway, well, he gives them the lead. It's on a turnover. Nice play by Hagelin to get the puck. Gets it across to Hathaway, and at 18:48, suddenly the Caps have a lead. And it's 2.5 minutes since they were behind. So we then pull the goaltender, which allows Carlson to score in that McNugget minute from Dowd at 19 minutes and 11 seconds. So if you're a Caps fan, there you go. Final score is 5-3 for Washington. They go to 28-15-9. The Flyers 15-25-9. Their record is just terrible. 3 stars are Hathaway, Mayhew, and Hagelin. The shots 11-8 Philly in the first, 12-6 Philly in the second, 11-10 Washington in the third. Final shots 33-25 for Philadelphia. Power plays 1-for-3 for Washington, 1-for-4 for Philly. Hits 22-14 for the Philadelphia Flyers. Samsonov saves 30 out of 33, and Jones saves 20 out of 24. Yeah, so the Caps, they come back, they win it. Hathaway, honestly, both goals pretty fun, and Ovechkin almost gets another, but doesn't. So, moving along. The Detroit Red Wings, they went in tonight against New York Rangers, and yeah, this was a pretty entertaining game all around. Greiss versus Shesterkin, the goalies would be the story in this. Early press by the Wings. Stetcher would score from early in Veleno at 2:18. Fox then had a net feed, that wouldn't go. Zadina can't bury one, things get scrummy at the Rangers net after that one. Good puck pressure by the Wings. Goudreau shot blocks as the Wings press. The shots, though, are 6-4 Detroit halfway through the period. Post for Panarin. Wings end up getting a power play. That's killed off. The Wings press after it's done. The Rangers press with 4 minutes left. The Rangers then had a 2-on-1. That was defended. 1:48 left. The Wings get their second power play. So that rolls over into the second period. The Rangers kill the rest off. The Wings would press at 5.5 minutes. The shots are 4 apiece at 7.5 minutes. So evenly played game. But again, the Rangers, the offense that seemed to be, clicking on all cylinders not that long ago is starting to have some issues. Did in the last one and this one as well. The last one being against Boston. So the Rangers weren't generating enough to this point in the game. They did press at the half. Gaudreau's denied. Panarin can't finish one right after that. Larkin has a rush chance to save, but then it's Keandre Miller. He scores from Gaudreau at 12:18. The Wings try to answer, and they do. A minute and a half later at 13:48, it's Larkin from DeKeyser and Seider. So, 2-1 in favor of Detroit. Really good road game being played by the Wings. Veleno then had a spin around, a shot that was saved. Rangers press, but they're kept to the outside. They did have more pressure late in the period, but it's 2-1 Detroit after 2. Third period. Grace saves. Rangers had some jump. Larkin then has a blast that's saved and held. So Smith hits Gauthier and fights Hunt after that. It was a hit on Gauthier the Rangers didn't like. So the Wings end up coming out of that with a power play, which Gallant didn't like at all. The Rangers get a power play after that, and pretty early in that power play, Zibanejad scores to tie the game from Fox and Panarin at 11:51. And it was just, he blasts it. Leddy then goes wide, blasts one wide as the Wings press after that. But we go to overtime. In the overtime, Rangers control, Kreider's denied. Leddy takes control of the puck. Bertuzzi has a chance that's saved. Rooney has a shot that's blocked. Mika Zibanejad's denied. Fabry was denied. Panarin has a break that goes wide. The interesting thing with that overtime was it didn't feel like 3-on-3 hockey. It felt like they were just out there playing hockey, not the 3-on-3 style. You know what I mean? The ragging the puck around the ice and waiting for an opportunity. It felt like they just went out and played. But we end up going to a shootout, and the winner is scored by Pius Suter. So the shootout win goes to Detroit. They go to 23, 22, and 6 with the 3-2 victory. The Rangers 31, 13, and 5 with the shootout loss. Your 3 stars are Grice, Suter, and Shesterkin. Shots 11-8 Detroit in the first, 18-12 Rangers in the second, 10-6 Rangers in the third, and then in the overtime 4-3 Detroit. Final shots 39-33 for the Rangers. Power plays, Detroit 0 for 3. The Rangers had 1 power play and they scored on it. Hits 15-13 for Detroit. Grice 37 saves on 39 shots. Shesterkin 31 saves on 33 shots. Pretty entertaining game. So kudos to Detroit for coming out with 2 points. And hey, the Rangers came back and they managed to get a point out of it. So with the races being as they are, any points you get are good points. Moving along. Pittsburgh in against the Toronto Maple Leafs. So it's Jarry versus Campbell in this one. And early on, 20 seconds in, first shot, Matthews scores from Brody and Marner. So that's a way to start the game, and crowd got pretty into it. That's the way to get the crowd into it as well, right? Kerfoot then has a net drive that saved. The shots are 5-2 for the Leafs at 3 minutes. They were swarming, and so Pittsburgh had to fight their way through that. Letang has a chance that's saved. That's held as well as the Penguins would press, and they start controlling things after that slow start. They start to play a Pittsburgh game here. The Leafs get a power play. That's killed off. Letang has a blast that's saved and held. The Leafs press with 5.5 minutes left. The Penguins get themselves a power play. Rodriguez was denied. The Leafs did kill that off. Pittsburgh's power play tonight was stymied by the Toronto Maple Leafs. So go to the second. Marino has a blast saved as the Pens press. Tavares fires one wide from the slot. Leafs shot block as the Penguins are pressing again. And then we get a power play for the Leafs. And Riley scores on it from Campbell. So Jack Campbell with the assist at 5:31. Penguins then get a power play, and it's killed off. So they're down 2-0, and their power play's not helping them. We get a 2-on-1 for the Leafs. Mikheyev fires it wide. Penguins go back to the power play, and it's killed off as well. So there's another Penguins power play, and it felt like they were playing with fire, they being the Toronto Maple Leafs, but it turns out Pittsburgh is. It's Kampf shorthanded from Riley at 18:36, and they did a review because the net got knocked off, and that was knocked off by Tristan Jarry. So the goal counts. McGinn's then denied in the final minute. So it's 3-0 for Toronto after 2 periods. We go to the third. Brody has a rush chance in the first 30 seconds. He fires wide. Pittsburgh does get on the board. It's Malkin from Carter at 3 minutes and 33 seconds. But the Leafs, they try to answer right after that. And then at 6:06, Bunting with his first goal in a long time at home. They were talking about it during the game too, that Bunting gets all of his goals on the road and not so many at home. From Matthews and Marner at 6:06. So, yeah, Bunting gets one at home. Maybe he can start scoring like he does on the road. And we can get into the whole discussion about him being a rookie. Should he really be in the Calder hunt? Because he does lead rookies in goals. And, I mean, he's older, but still, right? Penguins get a power play. That was killed off as well. Heinen's denied in the slot after that finishes. And Toronto brings it home. They win 4-1. They go to 32-12-3 with the win. For the Penguins with the loss, they're 31-12-8. So your 3 stars are Campbell, Riley, and Matthews. The shots 15-12 Toronto in the first, 15-6 for the Penguins in the second, and 19-8 Penguins in the third. Final shots 46-29 for Pittsburgh. Might want to protect your goalie a little better, Toronto, but hey, Campbell had a really good game, right? Power plays, Pittsburgh 0 for 5, Toronto 1 for 2. Hits 25-20 for the Penguins. Jari saves 25 out of 29. Campbell saves 45 out of 46. So his numbers have been down over recent weeks. That's going to help those numbers out quite a bit. So big win for Toronto. Pittsburgh will try to bounce back in their next game, and we'll see how that goes. Next up, Montreal at home against St. Louis. A game that we could be forgiven for looking at before this game started and say, oh, St. Louis has got to win in this one. They have to. But Husso versus Montembeault, early control for the Blues. Power play then for the Habs. Anderson has a rush chance that's saved. That power play's killed off. But Byron opens the scoring in his 500th game from Lehkonen and Petrie at 7:13. The Blues then try to answer, and this is what you expect. The Blues to use that explosive offense to answer. Kyrou has a rush chance. He fires wide. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4. We get some rush chances both ways during that 4-on-4. Habs had a 3-on-2. Suzuki fires high during that. Then there's a power play for the Habs, and it's a shorthanded marker for St. Louis. It's Thomas from Buchnevich at 18:26. And then the Blues finish the kill. So it's 1-1 after 1, but St. Louis has to feel pretty good about being tied. And again, Montreal is known for having troubles in the second and the third period. Second period, Buchnevich and Anderson get kind of shovey with one another. The Blues press at 2.5 minutes. Montembeault saves during that. Blues get a power play. It's unsuccessful in the Habs. They get a power play of their own as well. Suzuki then on a turnover, he fires one wide. There's a shorthanded chance for Thomas that's defended, and the power play is killed off. The Habs press, they get their 4th power play, but the Blues kill that off because it's what they do. So there's a strong first 40 minutes by the Habs, but it's a tie game. And again, you could be forgiven if you're a Habs fan watching this and saying, oh, I expect a loss. They've lost so much. So third period, shots are 5-4 for the Blues at 6 minutes. Thomas has a tip that misses wide. The Habs get a power play. That's killed off. So the Habs power play, they had a lot of opportunities, just couldn't quite get that to go. Slow game, though, at this point, too. A lot of stops and starts, offsides, and just generally kind of sloppy play on both sides of the puck. 7:37 left. The Blues get a power play. That was unsuccessful, as was the next one. And then Buchnevich would score from Tarasenko and Falk at 18:41. So, the Blues are up. There's 1:19 left. Again, you'd be forgiven for saying, well, I guess the game's over. It's Montreal, they're down. They pull the goalie and they score. It's Caulfield from Weidman and Hoffman at 19:51. So a 6-on-5 goal, great pass, and Caulfield buries it. So we force overtime. In the overtime, the Blues controlled it early. Thomas has a pass that's intercepted, and that ends up costing them because the first shot of overtime is for Montreal's and it goes in. Caulfield from Petrie at 2:22. So Jeff Petrie, he gets himself a couple of assists, including on the game winner, and your Habs win 3-2 in overtime. They go to 9-33-7 with the win. With the overtime loss for St. Louis, they're 28-14-6. So St. Louis gets a point. They'll wish it was 2, but they do get a point out of it. And for Montreal, it's about playing for pride. They'll at least get to double-digit wins this year, right? So your 3 stars are Caulfield, Byron, and Montembeault. The shots, 11-9 Montreal in the first, 9-4 Montreal in the second, 14-9 St. Louis in the third. And then in the overtime, the only shot was Montreal's. Final shots, 30-27 Montreal. Power plays, St. Louis 0 for 3, Montreal 0 for 5. The hits, 25-13 for St. Louis. Husso saves 27 out of 30. Montembeault saves 25 out of 27. So he had a pretty good night, and Montreal fans should feel pretty good about things. That being said, I need to change boards. Now, when I say Montreal should feel pretty good about things, what I mean is you're not making the playoffs, but at least there's some progression happening, right? There's progression. Caulfield's starting to get the scoring going, and Marty St. Louis seems to have some ideas that are working so far. And again, the record's not great. Speaking of which, Ottawa goes in against Buffalo, team where neither record's very good, but Ottawa has a lot to work with going forward. So it's Forsberg versus Anderson, and by going forward, I mean the rest of this season and next season as well. Watson versus Hayden. takes place. Hayden gets the instigator penalty. Tierney has a net drive that's blocked. That power play is killed off for Ottawa. Sabres then get a power play. There's a shorthanded chance for Tierney. That's blocked out. That's killed off. So Tierney continues to be just snake bit, right? Sabres get another power play. Thompson misses one wide, and he fanned on the next one. Eakin then draws the third power play for the Sabres, which does not score. Or no, it does score. This is a power play goal. Okposo from Asplund and Dahlin at 13:37. I can tell it's a power play goal because the power play stats down here and the number of goals up here. And yeah, there you go. Can't get one by me. Now, the Sabres coming into today were 13-6-4 when they score first. So they should feel pretty good. They come out of the first period. They're up 1-0. Second period, Sens 2-on-1. Paul fires wide. Sabres get a power play. It becomes a 4-on-4. Everything's killed off there. Okposo has a chance in close. That's defended. Sabres press with 8.5 minutes left. But at 16:04, it's Sanford from Ennis and Zub. Sabres get a power play. That was a no. Didn't manage a shot. And you could feel it's 1-1 after 2, but the momentum seems to be kind of shifting. So third period, Skinner has a net pass to Tuck. That wouldn't go. Sanford ends up hitting the post. The Senators press at 7.5 minutes. Connor Brown was denied by Anderson, and then Watson was not. Watson scores the second goal of the game for Ottawa from Holden and Gambrell at 10:49. Suddenly Ottawa's ahead. Quiets an already quiet Buffalo crowd. Pressed then by the Sabres had no shots in over a period of time. In over 20 minutes, there hadn't been a shot for Sabres. They did press with 3 minutes left. They couldn't pull Anderson. They were trying to get Anderson out, and Ottawa just kept the puck in their end. They couldn't get Anderson out. 49.9 seconds left. The Sabres call a timeout. This is before a face-off in their own zone. So they win the face-off. They do pull the goalie with 40 seconds left. Thompson fans on one, so Tage Thompson's not happy coming out of this one. And then it's Tkachuk into the empty net from Holden at 19:43. The Senators win this one 3-1. They go to 18-25-4 for the Buffalo Sabres. They're 16-25-8 on the season. Your three stars are Watson, Holden, and Sanford. The shots 12-10 Ottawa in the first, 10-8 Buffalo in the second, 8-4 Ottawa in the third. Final shots 28-24 for the Sens. Power plays Ottawa 0 for 2, Buffalo 1 for 6. Hits, light hitting game, 13-12 in favor of Ottawa. Forsberg saves 23-24, good game for him. Anderson, 25 saves on 27 shots. So again, one of the storylines early in the season was the goaltending not being good enough for Ottawa. Lately it's been very good, and it stymies the Sabres when they manage to get shots. So yeah, there you go. Ottawa, they go into Buffalo and win, which is their first win versus Buffalo this year, right? So I guess that 5-0 loss, they took that personal. Okay, next up, Boston in against the Islanders, and Boston's in trouble. I as a Boston fan, I can say, oh, there's some trouble in Boston, and it's that they don't have Marchand. It makes that big of a difference to their attack. It's Ullmark versus Sorokin in this one. Cizikas has a blast that's saved and held. Shots are 3-2 for the Islanders at 5 minutes. The Islanders press, but the Bruins are blocking them to the outside. Strong start for the Islanders, but we're still scoreless. The Bruins then press at 8 minutes. Grzelcyk has a blast that's saved and held. The Bruins blast, Bruins press, draw a power play. It is unsuccessful. Bruins had 10 shots in a row. We then get a power play for the Islanders. That was killed off. But then before the period's out at 17:26, Hall opens the scoring from Smith and Riley. It was a tough angle shot. You probably want to save there from Sorokin, but considering the stat line at the end of the night, you can probably forget about it. Second period. Shots are 2-1 for the Bruins at 2 minutes, but the period starts to turn against them. Aho has a blast that saved and held. Really strong first 5 minutes by the Islanders, and they really start pushing it. Chara has a shot that saved and held onto as well. The Islanders rush, ends up going offside. They had a really promising looking rush there, and it just went offside. They get a power play, though, those Islanders, and at 11:30, Pajot scores from Dobson and Barzell for the tie. Hall is then denied as he tries to answer on a shift shortly thereafter. Bruins press with 2 minutes left. Vakanainen can't bury one. Pasternak has a chance that's defended in the final minute. It is 1-1 after 2, but it felt like the momentum was starting to roll in the Islanders' favor. Third period, the shots are 2-0 for the Bruins at 5 minutes, but at 5:50, it is the Islanders who get the lead. Dobson from Nelson. Bruins then get a power play. That's killed off. And at 13:32, the Islanders add an insurance goal. It's Barzell from Bellows and Pellick. Bruins had been outplayed since the first period. They played very well in the first, and after that, the Islanders just started taking over. And again, this is that desperate hockey the Islanders have to play. If they're going to make themselves relevant in the hunt for a playoff spot, they need to win these games. Goalie pull with 3 minutes left. What ends up happening there is the empty netter. It's Nelson from Chara at 18:47, and the Islanders win 4-1. So the Islanders go to 18-20-6 with the win. The Bruins drop to 27-17-4 with the loss. 3 stars are Barzal, Dobson, and Nelson. Shots 13-6 Boston in the first, 13-7 Islanders in the second, 10-7 Islanders in the third. Final shots 29-27 for the Isles. Power plays Boston 0-2, Islanders 1-2. Hits 35-20 for the Islanders. And really where the special teams are where you see Marchand's effects too, because he's a key guy on the power play as well as one of the better shorthanded players. Olmark saves 25 out of 28. Sorokin saves 26 out of 27. And yeah, so the Islanders, they need to go on a streak. No better time than now, I guess. We shall see if they're able to sustain said momentum coming out of this game. Next up, Seattle going into Winnipeg for the first time ever. Winnipeg won in Seattle, so Seattle was trying to do the same thing in Winnipeg. It was Grubauer versus Comrie. There's an early power play for Seattle, and they score on it. It's done with his 7th of the year from McCann and Gord at 3:27. The Jets then get a power play. That's killed off by Seattle. They allowed 2 shots for the Jets. The shots are 5-4 Seattle at the half, and at 12:15, Seattle gets their second goal. It's Johansson from Wenberg and Eberle, and the Jets just seem to be out of sync, and just it wasn't working. And this is what happens with the Jets at times. This is how you end up well below the playoff line, but they would start to turn things around. Seattle presses with 5 minutes left. With 34.2 seconds left, the Kraken get a power play. So they're up 2-0. They can maybe get that third goal. However, it's Tony Nato scoring shorthanded at 19:47 from Lowry and DeMello. Comrie then saved a buzzer beater as well. So it's 2-1. Could have been 3-0. It's 2-1 after the first period. The Jets finish off the kill, and then Dubois, not long after he got out of the box, he scores from Wheeler at 1:45. Shortly after that, Wheeler was then denied. So now we're in a tie game. The Jets are starting to turn things around. Post for Eberle on a rush. Wheeler, though, doesn't hit a post. He hits the back of the net. He scores from Stastny at 11:54. On the next shift, the fans try calling a penalty. The ref does not. The ref does not agree to call a penalty there. Gord hits Scheifele. Things get kind of punchy after that hit. Scheifele didn't appreciate it, but he did jump right back up. Jets come out of all that with a power play. Vesalainen can't bury one as the Jets press. That power play would be unsuccessful. But it's 3-2 Jets after 2, and you could just see the momentum. But in the third period, the Jets press at 3 minutes. Donato has a rush chance that's saved. But then at 7:02 on a fantastic pass, Eberle gets his 14th of the year from Johansson and Giordano at 7:02. So suddenly it's tied. And again, you know, the Jets, you're wondering, so is this are they gonna blow this at home? They can't, right? So power play for the Jets with 10:26 left. The Jets call a timeout with 51 seconds left in the power play, so to try to figure out what play they're going to make. But the Kraken finished off the kill. Wheeler has a shot that's blocked as the Jets press, but then Morrissey on what was just Connor. He could have had multiple assists on that, really. Morrissey from Reichel and Connor at 13:50. And again, Kyle Connor just willed that play to stay in the zone. Jets press with 4 minutes left. McCann's then denied. The Jets cleared it out shortly after that. With 1:33 left, Seattle with a timeout while their goaltender is pulled. But at 19:59 with 0.6 seconds left, Connor scores from DeMello into the empty net. So Kyle Connor with a goal to go with that assist. And the Jets survive a scare at home. They win 5-3. Not the prettiest win, but a win's a win. They go to 22-18-8 overall. Seattle 16-30-4 as their season continues to roll in the wrong direction. But hey, 3 stars, Wheeler, Johansson, and Dubois. The shots 10-7 Seattle in the first, 10-9 in favor of Winnipeg in the second, and then they take over in the third, outshot Seattle 12-4. Final shots 29-23 Winnipeg. Power plays Seattle 1-2. Winnipeg 0-3. Hits 29-13 for Winnipeg. Grubauer saves 24 out of 28. Comrie saves 20 out of 23. So Hellebuck gets a night off, and the backup goaltender gets the win. This is good because the Jets are playing a lot of games in a short period of time. You're going to need to be able to trust your backup. So if Comrie's going to be able to do that for them, more the better. All right, next up. Columbus, the game that had all the goals in it. This game was just ridiculous. It felt like every time I turned to this game, and remember, at this point, there's 8 games on at the same time. But every time I went to this game, somebody scored. So it's Merzlikins versus Soderblom, who was very good the first time I saw him. Tonight was a rough night. But Columbus, I talked about Columbus in a video a couple days ago. This is a team that can score, and tonight proves that again. Keeping the puck out of their net's been the problem. But tonight, in a game of 80s-style pond hockey, they did pretty well. So early chances were for Columbus, but the shots were evened up at 4 apiece by 5 minutes. Columbus gets a power play, and it's Jenner scoring on said power play from Voracek and Werenski at 6:58. And then Chinakhov, on a turnover, gets a goal from Nyquist and Sillinger at 7 minutes and 11 seconds. So 2 goals in 13 seconds. That'll quiet down the Chicago crowd. Kane then has a rush chance that's saved and held. The Hawks get a power play. They score on it. It's Kurashev from Kubalik and Doc at 10:24. Perfect tip by Kurashev. No chance on that play for Merzlikins. But then at 14:21, the Hawks tie it. It's Carpenter from Connolly. So they're in this until at 16:55, Domi restores the lead from Chinakhov. And so it's 3-2 in favor of Columbus after 1. Second period, 9 seconds in, Patrick Laine says, I'll do it. And he scores a goal. His first of what was going to be a good night for him. Blackhawks then get a power play. Kane has a shot that's saved. That power play is killed off. Columbus then gets a power play. That was killed off as well. Double posts for Seth Jones. Goes off the right post, bounces over the left post, and comes out. I honestly understood why they were reviewing it, because the way the net moved, I thought it had gone into the net and bounced right back out. But it hit the post so hard that it did rattle that part of the net. So, yeah, it didn't go in. Kane has a chance that tips high, and then Entwistle, shortly before the end of the period at 18:02, he scores from Kurashev and DeHaan. So Kurashev with a couple of points in this, and suddenly Chicago's back in it at 4-3. Last minute press then by Columbus, but we come out of that second period with the score 4-3, and it still felt like this game was up for grabs. Third period, shots are 6-0 for the Columbus Blue Jackets 6.5 minutes in. So they came out determined to take this one home and do whatever they could to make sure they ensured themselves the victory. Very few whistles in the first half of that period. Carpenter has a shot that's saved, and then you get a whistle when a goal scored, and Laine scores the second of the game from Jenner at 7:58. Shortly after that, though, DeBrincat answers from Kane and Seth Jones at 8:58. So 1 minute later, Chicago answers. And then at 11:57, Columbus answers that. It's Bjorkstrand. He scores from Domi and Werenski. So Domi with some points tonight, and everybody with some points tonight, really, for Columbus. The Hawks would try to answer. Then there was a near miss by Nyquist. With 2:39 left, the Hawks get a power play. It becomes a 6-on-4, and Columbus does manage to kill that off. Huge turning point for them. I'm not saying Chicago would have tied it, but if they make it 6-5, maybe. Chicago does still have some of that magic there, just not as much this year as might have been hoped. However, at 19:55, Laine gets his 9th career hat trick into the empty net from Nyquist and Gavrikov. So your final score is 7-4. Columbus goes above 500 again. They're 24-23-1. Chicago 18-25-7. Columbus should look at what Detroit's doing, look at what's going on with Boston, and say, you know what? There might be room there for us if we can get hot at the right time, and now's the right time. So your 3 stars in this one: Laine, Werenski, and Carpenter. Shots 16-11 Columbus in the first, 10-8 Chicago in the second, 13-11 Columbus in the third. Final shots 37-32 for Columbus. Power plays, Columbus 1 for 3, Chicago 1 for 4. The hits 20-12 for Columbus. Merzlikins saves 28 out of 32. Soderblom, rough night for him, 30 saves on 36 shots. I don't know how many of those he would have been expected to save, but yeah, Laine's red hot right now, which is great news for Columbus and great news for his agent, because the more goals that Laine scores now, the more it's going to be worth when he's a restricted free agent this coming summer. That being said, I need to change boards. All right, last 2 games of the night, and because of the way that the night was structured, the early games I had to flip back and forth and back and forth. These 2 games got a lot more attention once the early games were done. So first off, we've got Anaheim in against the Edmonton Oilers, and the Oilers are kind of rolling, and the Ducks are rolling in the opposite direction. The Ducks, now below the playoff line, have played more games than the teams they're trying to keep up with. And the Oilers tonight kind of did Dallas a favor as well, and Winnipeg a favor, and Vancouver a favor, and on some level San Jose. And yeah, a lot of teams that are happy with this result tonight. So it's Gibson versus Smith. I was mildly surprised they didn't go with Stolarz. Stolarz had a pretty good night in relief last night of Gibson, but they go back to Gibson. Early power play for the Oilers. That is unsuccessful. Then the Ducks get their own power play and they score on it. It's Henrique from Fowler at 4:39. 8 minutes into that first period, the shots are 4 apiece. Ducks go back to the power play in the second half. They score on that one too. It's Milano from Zegras and Henrique at 14:14. So the Ducks are up 2-0 in Edmonton. And yeah, the Oilers then get a power play and they answer with that power play. It's Kane from McLeod and Bouchard at 18:46. So that makes it 2-1 after one. And again, that's where if the Ducks get that kill, they don't. Second period, Carrick nearly buries one. They even had to review it to make sure it didn't go in. And then Ryan ties the game from Ceci and Fogle at 4 minutes and 12 seconds. And this is where it just starts to roll. The Oilers are pressing for the lead, and at 7:26 they get it as Puljujarvi from McDavid. And then at 10:31, Draisaitl with a beautiful goal. He scores from McLeod and Kane. And with that goal, I think that was his 34th, and puts him ahead of Chris Kreider for the league lead in goals. Keeping in mind, of course, Matthews got one tonight too, so I think Matthews is at 33. So the momentum's with the Oilers, and the shot attempts at that point in the game, 38-19. So it was exactly 2-1 in favor of the Edmonton Oilers. Last minute saves by Smith. Raquel's denied with 5 seconds left, so the Ducks got close. But it is 4-2 for the Oilers after 2. Third period, Ducks start with a full power play. McDavid in the box. The Oilers killed it off. Not a lot of room for the Ducks at this point. And then Fogle, he scores from Nugent Hopkins and Ryan at 4:21. Derek Ryan getting a bunch of points in the last few games here. Kane then has a blast that's saved and held. The Oilers get a power play. There was a shorthanded shot for Silverberg that's saved. The power play's killed off. And then Zegras, absolutely. Is Zegras capable of a goal that's not highlight reel? Absolutely beautiful goal from Raquel at 9 minutes and 17 seconds. It's just, I don't know what to call the goal other than it was just kind of, and it wasn't the Michigan, wasn't a lacrosse goal, but it just shows that he's very creative of how to get the puck in the net. He puts it in the top of the net, bounces it kind of in off Smith, and it's a thing of beauty. It's a goal scorer's goal. We are spoiled to have Zegras playing 82 games a year in the NHL. The Oilers then try to answer, and they do. At 10:19, almost the same time as in the second period, Draisaitl scores his 35th goal of the season. So Draisaitl started to roll. That makes it 6-3. And then at 11:37, Hyman scores from McDavid and Yamamoto to make it 7-3. And then the Oilers get another power play. That was killed off. Their power play still isn't where it was early in the season. The good news is it doesn't have to be. They win this one 7-3. They're now 4-0 under new coach Woodcroft. They go to 27-18-3. The Ducks 23-19-9. And with this win, the Oilers are starting to put teams like Anaheim and LA kind of in the rearview mirror and look at teams above them. So your stars in this one are Ryan, McLeod, and Fogle, which again shows that depth scoring makes a huge difference for the Oilers, and it's showing up now. Shots 16-8 Edmonton in the first, 14-7 Edmonton in the second, and then in the third, Anaheim actually outshoots them 15-11. But you give Mike Smith that kind of a lead, he's pretty good. The shots overall 41-30 for Edmonton. Power plays Anaheim 2 for 3, the Oilers 1 for 4. So they lose the special teams battle. However, they win the game. 30-22 were the hits in favor of Anaheim. Gibson saves 34 out of 41. Rough night for him. He did not get pulled tonight. Smith, 27 saves on 30 shots. And so next up for Anaheim, I believe they're coming into Vancouver. And so they need to win that to keep themselves, I'm not going to say in the conversation, because they're still in the conversation, obviously, still having 55 points. But they can't feel great coming out of this one after the game in Calgary, too. So we shall see. But right now, both Alberta teams playing really well. And Edmonton, with this win, I think they're only 2 points behind the Vegas Golden Knights now. So, yeah, we're into a point now where maybe both Alberta teams are going to be 1-2 in the Pacific. And maybe we could have them fighting for first place. I am fine with them fighting for first place. I think that would be fun. All right, last game of the night to review is Vancouver in against San Jose. Canucks tried. They tried to, in the most Canuck way possible, maybe blow this game. And it really felt like that. So it's Demko versus Reimer. The Canucks press, but they didn't have the shots to go with that pressure early. The shots would show up, though. Podkolzin with a net drive, that's defended. 6 minutes into the period, the shots are 5-2 for Vancouver. VL goes after Burrows overhit. VL was looking for a fight most of the game. It was mildly entertaining at points that he really wanted to have a fight. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4 out of that. Dahlin had a chance. Hamonic defends. The Canucks press. They draw a power play. Höglander, net drive, saved and held. It's killed off, and Reimer to this point in the game was good. You're just going to have to take my word for it. Vancouver was controlling it. The only reason it was scoreless for this long was James Reimer. But then, Besser scores from Miller and Ekman-Larsson at 14:54, meaning I had to run upstairs and do my Brock Besser celebration and run right back down really quickly. The Canucks then look for another, and Hughes, a bouncing puck that goes in, 17:40. I'm surprised that didn't touch Highmore's stick on the way through, but apparently it didn't. So it's Hughes' goal, and it's a one bouncer, and it goes right up over top of the left arm of Reimer. These bouncing pucks, I've noticed that players are bouncing them at the net, and it works. So post for Gregor on a tip before the period's out, but it's 2-0 Vancouver after one. Second period, Canucks press at 3 minutes. The puck goes the other way, and it's in their net. It's Couture from Nieto and Gregor at 3 minutes and 35 seconds. So that makes it 2-1, and it went off Myers' stick and in. So Myers was putting his stick out to try to block the pass. Instead, he puts it in his own net. Momentum had shifted after that goal as well. The Canucks aren't getting shots at this point. They get a power play. No shots. You get a good power play that had some opportunities in the first, and then they decided that was it. Their special teams are back in not very good territory. Sharks were hitting and they were seeking the tie, but then Lammikko on the first shot of the second period, it goes in off of his hip from Burrows at 10 minutes and 49 seconds. So Lammikko in the right place at the right time. And he's starting to get a lot of respect and a lot of discussion amongst Canuck fandom. Peterson's then denied. VL looks for a fight because, yep. Middleton can't bury as the Sharks press. Miller then had a chance that was saved and held. The Sharks get a power play, and Meyer scores on it. He scores from Hertl and Barabanov at 14:03. The Canucks then get a power play. Pearson can't bury one. It's killed off. It had no shots. So that's a problem. Sharks press, and they draw a power play. It rolls over into the third period. So for the first 53 seconds, the Sharks have a power play, and they score on it. It's Meyer from Hertl and Barabanov, again at 45 seconds. Same scoring. And it really illustrates that the Canucks are starting to have this problem again with their penalty kill. They allowed 2 goals on 3 power plays against Toronto. They allowed 2 goals on 3 power plays tonight as well. Those numbers do not lead to tremendous success. So yeah, the Canucks then get a power play. No shots. VL had a shot that was saved. Momentum to San Jose. Oddly enough, he didn't look for a fight after that shot was saved. Sharks had a 2-on-1. Couture was denied. There's a power play for the Sharks. And I just put up here a kill with a question mark. And yes, wow, because they killed one. And I was pretty sure they weren't going to. And then it's Garland on what was basically just a net crash. Just throw everything at the net. They wanted the lead back, and they got it from Burrows and Pettersson at 14:23. The official scoring, last I looked, just has Pettersson, but nobody touched the puck after Burrows did, so I'm throwing Burrows up there, and if they don't give him an assist, well, I am. So I'll just change the stats. It's fine. So yeah, it was a goal that puts the Canucks back in the lead. And again, they didn't have very many shots in the second or third period. They really should not have been tied in this game at this point. San Jose had taken over. Barabanov nearly answers. What a great game he had. The Sharks press. 2:30 left. There's icing by the Sharks. Mott then has a chance that's saved and held. The Canucks were doing a good job of making sure that Reimer didn't come out. 49.9 seconds left. The Sharks call a timeout. They did pull the goaltender, but just with 45 seconds left. So the Canucks clear the zone with 10 seconds left and just stopped. I don't know how else to put it. Barabanov scores from Meyer and Burns at 19:59 with like 0.4 seconds left. Barabanov scores. So he forced overtime. There you go. Canucks control on the faceoff. Couture has a chance. Horvat defends on that, though. Sharks control, and then Garland gets it. Canucks have some control here. They force a penalty, but before that penalty can actually be called, JT Miller scores with the 4th attacker on the ice. They were 4-on-3 at the time from Pedersen and Hughes at 2 minutes and 39 seconds. So JT Miller, a lot of overtime goals for him as a Canuck in a very short period of time. And so if you're a Canuck fan that doesn't like all the JT Miller trade talk, this is something you can look at and say, see, they need him. So your 3 stars in this one are Miller, Meyer, and Barabanov. 2 out of 3 are the Sharks. I cannot argue with that logic. They were the better team through most of this game. But Vancouver wins at 5-4. They go to 23-21-6. San Jose drops to 22-21-5. So Vancouver's 2 games above 500, playing the parade. Shots 15-4 Vancouver in the first, 15-5 San Jose in the second, 9-5 San Jose in the third. 2 shots in the overtime, both for Vancouver. Final shots 28-27 for San Jose. Power plays, Vancouver 0 for 4, San Jose 2 for 3. Special teams are a problem in Vancouver again. Hits 28-19 for San Jose. Demko saves 24 out of 28. Reimer saves 22 out of 27. I'm going to go ahead and say I thought both goalies were better than these numbers would tell you. I think that both defenses had some issues tonight, and it shows up in the goalies' save percentages, and it shows up in the amount of goals in this game, 9 altogether. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts regarding tonight's games in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.